I've got, okay, there we go.
Yeah, and I will edit this too. We can trim the edges off and all that. So make sure my cameraman works. Hello, Scott Smith here. Welcome to another episode of World Touch TV. Today, we're on the Google Hangout with Chris Jessen, pastor of Two Rivers Church, Chattanooga. Chris, good to have you with us, man.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Good to be with you, man.
Well, some exciting things are going on in your life. I know you've been hard at work for the last year or two, actually getting a church plant or a church start ready to go. It's going to be Two Rivers Church, Chattanooga, and one of the great things about this church is it's actually starting with some stability. A lot of churches in our area will come in, they'll start flash in the pan, kind of out of the blue. Tell us a little bit about the backstory of your church, Two Rivers Church, Chattanooga.
Yeah, well, this church has actually been years in the making. I was on staff at a church in Knoxville, Tennessee, also called Two Rivers Church, and I spent 7 years getting to invest in students and then eventually families. And actually, I finally got to pioneer a video venue, a campus, where I became a campus pastor there as well. And Two Rivers in Knoxville has always had a heart not only to raise up and grow and invest in the community that they're a part of, but also to see multiplication happen, that the gospel will go out in new communities. And so this has been on the mind and hearts of the leadership for years and years. So it was about 2 years ago that we began to pray about where next God would call us to start a new community of faith. And as we prayed, they encouraged me to consider this opportunity. And through a lot of wrestling with God and asking and inviting Him to begin to speak into this next season of our journey, we began to sense that this is what God was up to. So it has been fun to not only get to begin this, but also to have a community of faith behind us that are supporting us, both for this sort of critical first planting year, but also as we move forward.
I love it. So you see yourself as a very strategic work in terms of what you're about to start, what you're about to begin, what you're about to accomplish in the Chattanooga area, correct?
Well, we hope so. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I know you're not alone. You're not a guy and two helpers or whatever down there. You've actually already begun to build a team. Tell us a little bit more about the makeup of what exists now. Even though at the time of this recording we're still at pre-launch phase, you do have a team in place. Tell us a little bit about your team.
Yeah, so I guess it was just last week, a year ago, we moved down here with a team of about 25 people that moved from the Knoxville area to come and be a part of this new movement. And so we began with several families, a bunch of 20-somethings, all passionate about following God's calling to come down here and begin this new community of faith. And then since we've been down here, we have been gathering people in the community, neighbors, friends, whomever will listen to us and feel equally called to learn more about the vision that God has given us to begin this new community. So that's what we've been doing over the past about year. So we've been meeting on a monthly basis at least to walk through, talk through, and teach through our vision and invite people to be a part of that. And so over the last year or so, we've gathered about, we're at around 100 people or so that have really sensed that they're supposed to be a part, excuse me, of this initial phase of planting this church, reaching our community for the sake of the gospel.
You know, which is really interesting because the average church in America is less than 100. So even in your pre-launch phase, you've already gathered, people of like mind and passion that want to advance the gospel in the area that really you're already larger than the average church in the country. So you've got the backing. You're basically an outreach and arm of a church that's existed for some time in Knoxville. This is very strategic, very thought through. So you've got a lot of things going for you. It's almost like, you can go out and start a little mom and pop restaurant, or you can join a franchise like Chick-fil-A, the Christian's fast food joint, right? And they're probably not going to go anywhere. One is more risky, one is less. And so that's one of the things that we want to help people understand is that you're not joining something that's experimental. If you visit and get involved with a church like Two Rivers, you're actually joining up. You're getting exposed to, at least if you're visiting, a much larger work. One of the things someone may say is, look, I've driven through Chattanooga, and my understanding is you guys will be more on the north side toward the Ooltewah area. I've driven through that area. There's a church on every corner.
Right.
So tell us, you're starting a church in an area where there are already a lot of churches. What makes you distinctive or different from the others?
Yeah, well, I would say that's true of Chattanooga as a whole. There is definitely a church on every corner. It statistically, it's the most church city in the country, and so for someone who is excited about reaching people that don't go to church, I was a little bit discouraged at first, wondering, God, why would you send us to this city? But the reality is, even though there are 700 churches here in this county, uh, over 70% of the people here in Chattanooga are unchurched. They're not plugged into a local church. So despite the fact that there are lots of church buildings, that doesn't mean they're full of people that are in those buildings. And so it's a bit of a misnomer, actually. To see all the buildings doesn't necessarily mean that people are actually engaged in community, which is really what we hope to see. And the truth is, too, there is an explosion of growth as you move north of Chattanooga towards Ooltewah, even towards Cleveland. So Cleveland is growing south. Chattanooga is growing north, and really that place right there in between is Ooltewah. And so there actually isn't a church on every corner in Ooltewah. It's a new area where there are actually needs for new churches. So and that's one of the things that we knew. We don't feel like we're better than or special than other. There are a lot of great churches in this area. We're not looking to elbow our way in and offer something that's incredible. We believe that there's an actual need to have a great church in a new and growing community, and we feel like God has called us to be that church.
Wow, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. And honestly, as we look at statistics, you could literally start a church in most places, even in the South, every week, and still not keep up with the population growth when you combine in our metro areas and things like that. So the work is great, the need is great, and so obviously you've seen that there's going to be a niche for exactly the kind of church you bring to the table. You're going to launch, I believe, in September. Before we show that date and talk about that, let's talk about what kind of church you're going to be in terms of your DNA, your character, what can be expected. Let's say I'm in the area, I'm in Chattanooga, I'm in Ooltewah, and I want to visit your church. I mean, tell me about dress. Tell me about, is it going to be more traditional? Is it more casual? What can be expected there?
Yeah, well, our mission really and our vision is what undergirds everything that we do. And so our mission is that we're to be a caring community committed to awakening people to the life-changing power of Jesus. That's who God has called us to be. And so as you interact with us, you're going to find and discover that we are a caring community. Jesus says that people will recognize that you're my people by your love. And so relationships is going to sort of undergird everything that we do. It's going to be woven in the fabric of every event that we have. It was Jesus' strategy as God incarnate. He showed up and he built relationships and he revealed his Father's will to people in a personal and relational way. So that's who we are. And we are planting this church so that we can reach the lost, so that God himself can awaken the dead and call them to the purpose and the life that he wants for them. And so the beautiful thing about a church plant is that statistically, for whatever reason, God's hand is all over it in terms of reaching people that are lost. A lost person is going to be a lot more comfortable going to a church plant in a school, which we will be, than going to a more established church. I mean, face it, we've all got baggage. We've all been to churches where we've been hurt, and a lot of that keeps people away. So when you do something new, people will perhaps be open to exploring and experimenting one more time to see really what this whole God, Christianity, faith thing is all about. But we're going to be a casual environment where someone who doesn't know Jesus is going to feel comfortable. So the dress is going to be probably something that you don't have to change to go to church. You don't have to change after church. I'm probably going to wear flip-flops and maybe a polo, maybe a T-shirt, maybe jeans. We want people to feel comfortable. And it's funny, I grew up in a more formal, traditional church where we would, dress to the nines, and it was kind of fun. But I think that communicates something, that you have to put something else on and then take something else off when you go to and leave church. And what we want to communicate is that you just need to come as you are, and you need to go back into your world. And there isn't this sort of, okay, this is my church version of life, and this is the rest of me. We hope that it's integrated in all that we do and all that we are.
Wow, fantastic. Now, what about age ranges? What about if I'm a person in my 60s? Is your church going to be a fit for me? What if I'm a parent with small kids or teenagers? Talk to me about demographics.
Yeah, it was our prayer from the very beginning that we would be a community that would be diverse. We've all been to churches and been a part of churches where you feel like, okay, there's just older people or just younger people or just white people or just black people or, you fill in the blank. But we have been praying that God would give us diversity, really socioeconomically, racially, age-wise, all across the spectrum. And we know we need to be a slice of our community here in the Chattanooga Ooltewah area. So as you look around, as you go to Walmart, we want to represent the community well. And so what God has given us so far, and I can only judge by the monthly larger gatherings that we've had, is that we've got diversity. We've got college students from UTC and Lee and the community college. We've got high school students of families that have come. And we've got people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that are coming and exploring. We've got black and we've got white and kind of everything in between as it relates to socioeconomically. So we've got people that have got money, we've got people that don't have any money. And so far, God has really blessed the prayer that we've asked, where He's been giving us people from all shapes and sizes, and it is our commitment to make sure that we pastor anyone that God brings our way. So a part of our preparation has been figuring out what does it look like to do children's ministry really, really, really well. So we've got a children's ministry director who has been working this whole past year to get us ready to launch an incredible children's ministry. We've got a student ministries pastor who has been working to make sure that we launch with an incredible ministry that is geared towards middle school and high school students. We've got folks that are focusing on college and young adults that are specifically targeting their energy to make sure that the students on our campuses are engaged on their turf. And so we really want to make sure that people, when they come to our community, they don't feel like they've got to sort of sacrifice their kids or their students on behalf of the mission as a whole. We believe and we hope and we trust that God is going to have something for everyone.
Yes, yes, and it sounds like there'll be a place for everyone to serve. Obviously, there'll be for those that want to get behind and what you're doing and be a part of actually ministering to other people. I'm sure there are going to be lots of opportunities if you're going to have that kind of range in your church. I know that there'll be people there. People will come in and they'll say, we haven't been to church in a long time, a lot of years. And so they're going to get rechurched, which is, I know that's probably a niche that you want to serve based on what I'm hearing you say. But not only that, you're going to have people that have never been to church. And so a lot of questions come up about beliefs, like what do you believe? And I'm sure there's lots more they could learn. So if they want to start to engage you now, where would they go to do that? Is there a place online? I mean, where can they find out more about your church as it stands right now?
Yeah, great question. And as you can imagine, what we believe, what we stand by and for, we don't have time enough, even in this conversation, to cover all that. But you can really easily and quickly go to 2rc.org, and I think I have that for you, possibly down here somewhere. There we go. You can go to 2rc.org. That's our website. And there's several tabs where you can just explore through what we believe, what we stand for. We're actually a part of the denomination called the Evangelical Free Church of America. That's the EFCA. They really have a much stronger presence in the Midwest and the Northeast, but they are rapidly growing now in the Southeast. And there are 10 articles of faith that really ground that denomination, which, if you've come from a Presbyterian, a Baptist, some of the more larger denominations, this denomination is also going to be in alignment with that, where we believe in the authority of Scriptures. We believe that they're infallible. We believe that they're useful for our life, and so we sort of stand by that. We believe that the only way to God is through Jesus Christ, a personal saving relationship with Him. And there's several things. They're just the key foundational, we would say, orthodox things that really ensure that we're all on the same page. But the thing that I love about the EFCA is that we major on the majors and we minor on the minors. So there are some denominations and some folks that really make sort of mountains out of molehills, and they define their theology on things that perhaps there's more liberty in the Scriptures, and we try not to make those things our sort of defining statements of faith.
Right, great, fantastic. Now, if someone wasn't online, maybe they're on their phone, they have email, and they want to just shoot you an email, maybe get some more information. What's a good way to to contact you that way? Is there an email address that you prefer people use?
Yeah, if you look down the screen, info@2rc.org. That's info at 2rc.org. Shoot us an email there with any questions you have, any thoughts, any ways that we can get you connected or answer any questions. I mean, the best way to get to know us is to you can come to one of our gatherings. We've got right now this summer we're having what we're calling preview services, which are once a month services where we're taking the opportunity to try to pull off a weekly worship service, which eventually we're going to be doing on September the 7th. And so that's going to be one in June, one in July. That's in July the 20th, actually, at 10:30 a.m. at Collegedale Community Church, which is this great church that's letting us use a couple of their rooms to do church in.
I'm sorry, you broke up, so give us that church name again.
Yeah, sorry about that. That church is Collegedale Community Church. It's just right down the road at the corner of Absent Pike and Ooltewah Ringgold Road, and that'll be at 10:30 on July the 20th.
Okay.
And then we'll have one more of those in August as well, and that's actually going to be where we're going to eventually be launching from at Ooltewah Elementary School, and so that will also be at 10:30. And at that point, we'll actually have our equipment, so we'll have a trial run with our equipment that we purchased. And again, it does a couple things. One, it gives us a chance to work out the kinks, and we ask for grace during these gatherings. It also gives people a chance to come and check us out. The whole of church isn't these weekly gatherings. We know that, but that's a part of church, and it's a great expression of it. And so if you're looking to explore, this is a fit for you or your family, we'd love to see you at one of these gatherings.
Okay, well, let's talk about that big launch date and location so that they know. Some will be watching this video after the fact, so whether it's before or after, you know probably where they're meeting. You already have the contact information, the website as well. But tell us the launch date and the location for that.
Yeah, so we are going to be launching on September the 7th at Ooltewah Elementary School. So that is when we will begin our weekly worship services, and then, God willing, we will forever be meeting on a weekly basis, and you'll get to be invited into all the things that God has been readying us all for.
Well, that's exciting stuff, and there's not enough churches out there that are actually preaching the gospel and inviting people to come as they are and building relationships that are authentic and have a mission to go and grow and work together to make a difference. And obviously you do, so this is exciting to hear. We thank you for being one of our local leaders on the Local Leaders interview series, Chris. We're excited about your church. We're excited about what's going to happen there in the Chattanooga region because of the impact that you're going to make. And thank you for opening your doors to so many who are able to listen to this video today. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's another episode of World Touch TV. Take care, and we'll see you on the internet.